Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicast. This episode is recorded on location in Nashville from the Nashville Metro Police Aviation Hangar as part of the Hangar Z Vertical Valor Blades of Valor tour. This road tour included visits to some of North America's public safety aviation units, showcasing some of the country's heroes who exemplify courage, dedication, and selflessness in the line of duty every day. Jack Schoney, Brent Bundy from Vertical Valor magazine, and I were invited into the Nashville Metro Police Aviation Hangar to see firsthand the good work they're doing to protect the citizens and visitors of Music City. In this episode of the Hangar Z podcast, we sit down with Sergeant Nate Dungum from the Nashville Metro Aviation Unit. Nate shares the unit's ongoing transformation and the significant strides they've made in enhancing mission capabilities. We dive into their K9 unit's collaboration with Spike's K9 Fund and discuss how social media plays a crucial role in recruitment and community engagement. Nate also emphasizes the importance of building strong relationships within the department, the power of mentorship, and the value of networking in law enforcement. Nate opens up about his extensive background in both law enforcement and the military, including his deployment to Iraq and his experiences with the Civil Air Patrol. As the conversation progresses, we explore the impact of new aircraft on their operations and the importance of prioritizing safety, especially in light of recent maintenance issues. Nate wraps up by offering a set of rules for successful unit operations, highlighting the significance of clear goals, humility, and a culture of trust. We also get a sneak peek into the upcoming construction of a new hangar for Nashville Metro Aviation and the vital role of maintaining a positive culture within the unit. This episode is packed with insights, experiences, and actionable advice for anybody in public safety aviation. Thank you to our sponsors, Anodyne Electronics Manufacturing, Summit Aviation, and Robinson Helicopters.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts. The Hangar Z podcast is the first and only podcast dedicated to promoting and exploring the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Join your host, John Gray, Jeff Ratkovich, and Jack Schoney.
Still southbound, skidding to a stop. Stand by here. Looks like they're getting ready to bail. Heads up, guys, bailing. Okay, the guy, he's running through the house, jumping the fence, threw the shotgun, threw something out. Grabbing the shotgun. Don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. Grab the shotgun again. He is armed. Stay there. Hold your position.
4 on the stop. You're in custody.
They're advising code 4 on the stop.
It's interesting. A lot of people outside of the industry ask me, when I was working for Ontario, what I do. Like, I'm a pilot in aviation, and the first question is always, "Oh, did you learn how to fly in the military?" I'm like, no, I had no military experience at all, and they're always shocked to hear that. And I think, outside of what you guys are talking about with some of the underlying foundations that are built in the military, I think we've had a lot of good experience with bringing pilots in with no prior flying experience and building them based on what our, operational objectives are and kind of creating a product based on that. What's your experience been with that?
Building our
just having a freshly minted pilot with no experience, like we were just talking about, versus someone who's already got some experience and trying to mold them into this new mission profile.
I would rather create a pilot every day.
There you go.
I have seen it, phenomenal pilots that have thousands of hours of experience that were so ingrained in their mission set that they can't change it.
Mm-hmm.
30 years of doing the same thing, come in and you tell them now you have to do a hasty mission. You don't have 2 hours to brief your mission.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and do a PPC and check weight and balance and double check weather and call the operational weather squadron to make sure that you're briefed and approved to go. Like, your briefing is that you walked in here and you did the frat.
Yeah.
And now you're getting officers that have a stolen vehicle that they're chasing, and we're behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
You should be briefing when you get here.
Yeah.
And that's something we stress is, don't come in and chit chat and joke around. You have time. Have fun. Be part of the tribe, right? But part of that tribe is get your ducks in a row to be able to go in there and jump in and answer that call. Go do your pre-flight. If you want to do a walk around on the aircraft, we pre-flight in the morning and then we pass it along and we trust each other, but we verify.
Mm-hmm.
And go do that. Don't be going out there and doing it when you're getting the call, right? Don't get in a hurry and do something unsafe. But, we're here for the customer, and the customer needs us, because if that escalates into something more critical, we're catching up.
Yeah.
So guys that haven't dealt with that, they're ingrained in that process. That can be tough.
I've seen it too.
And then you have general aviation pilots that, Part 61, and no knock on that, because I've done Part 61 training. I'm commercial single engine instrument airplane. I've done that on my spare time for myself. and I own an airplane, and I fly aerobatics and do dumb stuff in it because legal, but dumb. Yeah, I fly upside down and I do spins and loops. And
are we doing that later today?
Makes me a better pilot for upset recovery stuff.
Inverted podcast from the Hangar Z.
Brent can get some good photos of that.
I vote for that.
But I've had pilots come in that couldn't relearn something because they went out and thought that to get into the unit they had to spend $35,000 to get their private helicopter, and they come in and they can't relearn something because there's a block there for some reason.
Yeah,
and that's not always the case. But,
right.
But we tell people, don't waste your time and your money. Come in here, be a good TFO, and you'll get your opportunity to fly.
Love that. It verifies what I've heard from different people in different places, but you've seen both, and you're verifying kind of what our thought process was. That's really cool.
Yeah.
One thing I want to touch on real quick is what makes our mission profile so fun. That's what you just talked about. You don't ever know what your day is going to look like. No mission is ever the same, and you don't know when the thing's going to happen. So it's 1 minute you're kind of your guards down and you're joking with your crew. The next minute you're running up to catch a pursuit. It's on the freeway. It's just so fun. The variety of it is what made it so fun. I know both of you working in busy cities have seen a lot of that. This is where I kind of go into some of the fun things that we do, thinking back on some of the missions you've been a part of here in Nashville. Hasty missions, as you call them. Anything that stand out as one that was impactful or fun to be a part of?
Man, I mean, we have done some phenomenal work here in the past, especially since getting the new aircraft, and I was telling y'all in 2022 when we got the 125s, the Airbus aircraft and the MX-10s, it just blew open our mission.
Yeah.
We were flying around in surplus OH-58s from Vietnam, and we had cameras we didn't use, and we'd line of sight everything, daytime and even nighttime, and we still had, some success with it, but we knew we were missing what we were missing a little bit. And then we started seeing, THP, Brad Lund, and his camera system, and he was showing it to us, and, really realized what we were missing out on and how effective we weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a new mission set, it's always fun and being in pursuit, but with a new mission set, that's the exciting part for me, is just seeing how much more effective our unit is. It seems like we're exponentially like hundreds of % better now.
Yeah.
And we went from, I think I ran the numbers last year after we had a year in review with the 125s, and we went up to like just under 900 arrests assisted in a year. And I think we helped recover over 350 stolen cars in a year.
Wow. That's great.
You put a dollar on value on that. That's insane.
Yeah, we about paid for the helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it would.
That's cool. And it's just, we fly higher, fly slower, get the camera where we need it to be, and we focus on letting the TFO be the star of the show.
Yeah.
We commented on that yesterday when we were flying with Spencer, saying, wow, that screen, 17-inch screen.
4K.
It was brilliant. I mean, the color, it just jumped at you. Just a great office to work in for your TFOs to do what you're talking about.
It is, but it doesn't stop there. Like, when we have that call, we jump out there and I'm not answering your question about the best and the funniest or but all of it stands out because it's so great now.
Yeah.
We went from chasing people by the line of sight and yelling outside of a helicopter with open doors to sitting in air conditioning and going, yeah, he's turning left.
Yeah. Right.
And
big change.
The officers on the ground love it because, and we've been told so many times by our special teams, precision policing is a big thing for our department. We've been told by all of our special teams that we support that we can't do this without you.
Yeah.
We cannot. You are invaluable.
You have become essential.
We have become essential.
Instead of a luxury.
Yes.
That's we like that quote.
Yeah.
Lee Majors.
Well, Kevin Gallagher too. Kevin Gallagher said it to me during the audit stuff, where he said, the audit, LAPD got audited, a big controversy. Long story short, when I was talking to Kevin about it, he said that. Well, they don't understand. They think it's a luxury. These people that have known nothing about us think we're a luxury, when in fact we know we're essential.
Yeah.
But you have to prove that.
You do.
And the way you prove
have
it
to work.
is by working. and by having results and then getting the response that you just described.
Yes.
Where your special units are going, oh my God, we couldn't have done that without you. That's the best feeling in the world.
When I came to this unit, it wasn't like that. You know, when I got here, I was told, put your head down, get your time, and get out of here. You know, the culture has changed.
Yeah.
And I hope that other agencies that, you know, are looking at fixing their culture or, you know, have questions about their culture can hopefully look to us. You know, we've had help. We've been picked up by other units that have wanted to pay it forward, and we're big on that too. So
that's good, because there's many units that are there right now where you were.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
You know, and there's light at the end of the tunnel that you can get there, but it takes work.
It does take work, and it takes changing. And, you know, when I got here, I was told, keep your head down, get your hours, and get out of here by other pilots that were leaving. And I had other pilots telling me, you know, that's a stupid idea. Why were you, don't ever bring that up again. You know, good idea fairy is a real thing. I know that. And I'm not saying I was a good idea fairy, but work, you know, change, do something different because the status isn't working. And looking around, you know, Tupelo Police Department in Mississippi used to have 58s just like us, and they're gone.
Yeah.
They relied on the state. Mississippi, was it the Department of Public Safety, does their aviation stuff now. And we have a state aviation asset right here. Y'all are well aware of that.
Yeah.
And if we hadn't changed, we probably would be looking at about the same thing, because, you know, you look at the efficacy of the unit versus the cost of drones. And we also have a state program. Why are we doing this? Why are we spending $1 million a year on an aviation unit?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I tell my kids often is, if I can trust you with the little things, then I can trust you with the big things. And I think back to just you painting over the spots on the hangar that were not taken care of. Like, those little things become big things, because people come in here and see, you know, that it's not dilapidated, it's cared for. There's pride here. Getting rid of the flying club, you know, making us proud to run out to the ship to go launch for a customer. Like, those are the little things that turn into big things.
We had retired Army pilots that were here as a second retirement, and not calling out anybody, but we had pilots that were here and they didn't want to fly, so they shopped for weather and said, we're down for weather. And we were the running joke in the department. Why aren't you flying today? Is it cloud in the sky? Is it too sunny? Is it too cool, too warm? What is it?
Yeah.
And that's changed. That's not here anymore.
No. And Jeff would call them, I think it was the seagulls. You had to throw a rock at them to make them fly.
Yeah, I've heard
true,
that before, and that was it. We had to throw rocks at them to get them to fly. And Matt Harris, flew with him, and he and I got here at the same time, and we looked at each other and was like, we're doing something different.
Yeah,
there was a time on my unit and where SWAT was not happy with the support they were getting, and they, behind the scenes, they called us non-support instead of air support.
I'm sure we were too.
And it was like, man, that hurts. That hurts. Well, we changed it.
Yeah,
we changed it, and it took a group effort. But that got changed through meeting with them a lot, training with them a lot, increasing what we did with them, and listening to them. So say, well, what do you need? Why are we non-support? Well, because of this. And we go, well, we can help you with that. Well, the previous captains or lieutenants said no. Well, they're not here.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. Can we get that done? And we look at it and say, that's a doable mission. Is it going to take some training? Yes. Is it going to take some practice, some safety and all that? Sure. But we did what we did. And that went away to where now the culture is completely different, and SWAT loves air support. That was not the case even in my time there. It changed. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like you're reading our playbook too, because we had that same thing. You know, we in the Great Flood of 2010. You know, the Nashville flooded, and downtown was, a lot of places in Nashville were underwater. Our unit was ineffective. We flew around looking for people on rooftops and calling them out to people, on the ground or on boats, going, yeah, there's someone over here. Or, yeah, we can't fly today because of the weather, right? But we couldn't do anything to help. And our SWAT team, they'd ask about doing airborne use of force because of stuff like Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay incident, stuff like that. Right now, we can't do that. We can't let you fly out of the side of a 58. That's dangerous. We had MD-500s too, which were effective. But people didn't want to do the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And the culture. right?
Yeah, the culture,
not
the culture.
pointing fingers, but the culture has
Over
to
and over.
change. And
Yeah.
you know, it's not. It can be the aircraft. You know, it'll all be better if we get a better aircraft. It'll be better if you change your mindset and you
Yeah.
get your people to get up and
Yeah.
move,
Love that.
and you support them as a leader, and you empower them. You know, I read a book that talks about 4 tactical virtues, The Way of Men by Jack Donovan. And he talks about 4 tactical virtues that you have to have in a tribe, right? And you have to have strength, and you have to have courage, and you have to skill and honor. You know, you have to have the strength. And in our mission here, it's not about being the strongest guy, right? It's not about being the fastest runner. It's about being the best in your skill set, right?
Yeah.
Knowing what you can do with that mission. And then you have to have the courage to stand up and change things and support and advocate and do the right thing. And that's saying no when it's the right thing to say.
Yeah.
And having the courage to tell commander, we can't do that. And here's why, sir. You know, but also changing and having the courage to say, sir, we can do this because, you know, we have good people and we're capable.
Right. It's funny. I remember our talk yesterday. We talked about one of these things, how sometimes it's to our detriment. I think most aviation units, most people in our industry want to make things happen. You know, we try our hardest to, if it's safe to complete a mission, we're going to complete a mission.
Yep.
If it means someone working 12 days straight to make that mission successful, we'll probably do it. Yep. Even though we know if we tell our administrators we can't do it because we're low on staffing, I'm sorry, that might be the best solution for the long-term cause. We still figure out a way to make that mission happen. You guys made a decision. Well, it wasn't even a decision. You guys had a maintenance issue come up, and that highlighted a potential problem and maybe provided a solution. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Thank you to our sponsor, Robinson Helicopter Company, the choice for unrivaled safety and reliability so you can accomplish any mission with confidence. For more than half a century, Robinson has been at the forefront of the helicopter industry. From the R-22 to the R-66 turbine, Robinson makes helicopters accessible so more people can accomplish more missions. Climb higher. For additional information, visit www.robinsonheli.com.
Absolutely. So when we got our Airbus aircraft, we pushed it. It had been a long work to get the aircraft changed. You know, we had Antique Helicopter Club here. We had we had the 458s and surplus of parts for them and 2 MD-500s. We got rid of 2 58s and we traded in the MD-500s to help with the trade for the Airbus helicopters. And our leadership asked for 3 helicopters. We explained why we need 3 helicopters. We said maintenance flow, operational efficiency, and keeping one down for maintenance and one immediate ready, and then one the mission aircraft, right? It keeps us operational. And it got pushed up, and, you know, government money, right? We talked about that earlier. You know, you ask for and you get. And what we got wasn't 3, it was 2. We got approved for 3 helicopters, but we got funded for 2 on this budget. They said, please don't make us pay for 3 on this fiscal year.
Yeah.
Like, we get it, right? Okay, but we need 3. Yeah, they pay for 2, and we got them through the assembly line, got them picked up here. We put 1,000 hours on the first one that we got in December of 2022, and we put 850 hours on the second one that we got in March of 2023. So we've had one a year and one a year, just under a year and a half, and we already have almost 2,000 hours on both of them.
Yeah.
So we're flying, right? That tells you how much our flying hour program is increased. The first one was going into its first 750 hour, which for Airbus guys, I understand that's a big inspection.
Yeah. Down for a minute.
It's down for a minute, and it was our first 750 hour inspection. While they were looking at it, they realized that the half shell bearings on the tail rotor were cracked, and we've been watching them, but they went beyond serviceable life. They checked tolerances and said, that one's bad. We had ordered the parts. Post-COVID supply chain for Airbus is still what it is, and we all know how hard it is to sometimes get parts. Those were on back order. The second aircraft that we're still flying, at this time we've reduced our flying hours to try to manage the one aircraft that we have. We were flying along, and do an inspection on pre-flight one morning, and the half shell bearings on that one had exceeded tolerance. So we had both aircraft down for the same issue. Half shell bearings were failed. We're not going to fly. The manufacturer says we can't fly. We're not going to fly it. We're not going to keep doing something. Because then if something happens, now we have a mishap that's on us.
Yep.
Right.
And our safety record. So sent out an email, notified command staff. We are 10-7 for aviation. Our aircraft have gone into a service issue, and we were waiting parts. Got phone calls from commanders, deputy chiefs, chief's office, asking what was going on, and had a whole email chain with an assistant chief asking, why this is an issue and why hadn't it been dealt with prior to. And so that was a good educational opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, it wasn't we did not intentionally sabotage the situation at any means, but we discussed we're going to put the 58s back in the mission, and we had already known from the time we were transitioning to the 125 that the customer didn't want them anymore. They would cancel on us. They would cancel the call for Air One when we showed up in the old bird, quote unquote. So, and that the fact that everyone was familiar with the MX-10, everything, and, they're dependent on camera recordings now for our evidentiary value. They were going to go back to a FLIR 8500 and a Vietnam helicopter, and that wasn't going to work. It was too unsafe in my mind as chief pilot. So, we said, those are training only. We did that before. I'm not going to bring them back out of retirement. We explained to the deputy chiefs that, look, sir, our maintenance guys are awesome. They have pre-ordered all of these parts. Post-COVID supply chain is this. We have increased operational hours exponentially, and we had just sent out, an end-of-year review about how many hours and arrests and stolen vehicles recovered and everything. But the point is, us being down, like you said, we were essential, and they freaked out because we weren't available anymore.
Yeah.
And they, when our violent crimes detectives go out to arrest someone, they want us there. We sent out that email. They had a conversation about, why is this happening? I educated them, very professionally. Got to be professional.
Yep.
You got to rep the unit still. I was
Right.
like, sir, we've ordered the parts. They're not available. Post-COVID supply chain. We have operated these aircraft so much that we've flown them into mandatory inspections, and we cannot fly them anymore. And the parts are breaking, and the combination has created a perfect storm of a situation that is beyond our control. Had we had a third helicopter purchased, we would still be operating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that started conversations at the headquarters about,
Light bulbs are going on.
hey, they did
Oh.
ask for 3 helicopters.
Yeah.
He
Right.
very
Yeah.
professionally said, we asked for 3.
And we have the support, and that is not a knock on our command staff. They are
No.
so super supportive, and they're doing a great job trying to improve the department and make changes, and they listen. When you have a good professional answer,
Right.
and you rep your unit, right? You have to advocate though. And it was an opportunity to advocate the fact, this was not a sabotage. We're not laying down on you, but if we have the tools, we can do your job.
Yep.
What
Yeah.
a big change in a short time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing that it's come to that where you become essential. Command knows it, and when you had to go to your backup plan, they weren't happy. That really just shows you're doing things right, Nate. I mean, it really does. There's so much to that, but I think that I was thinking about this. I've got to ask you about something here on your wetboard. Rules for successful unit operations. You've got a few up there. There's 8 things, and I love that number 1 is always take care of your people. Our discussion, everything we've discussed in the past hour and a half, relates to those 8. Actually, there's only 7 because always take care of people's number 8 is 2 as well, which I
it's a
really enjoy.
bookend.
Yeah, bookends.
You
I
never
love
forget
that.
to take care of your people.
Exactly. Talk about that list and what that means to you as not only the chief pilot, but but as your unit, because I love the tribe thought. We talked about that yesterday, and you mentioned that, and it caught my ear. I bet it did you too, John. And you went, tribe? That's an interesting way to think. And then I saw that, and then we've talked to you. It all comes together. Talk about that list.
Well, first off, being a historian, I'm not going to plagiarize. I'm going to cite my sources. And again, The Way of Men by Jack Donovan was the book that was recommended to me by CW5 Jason Keel. Really solid dude. He was a SWAT officer in Jackson PD out in West Tennessee, and he's our state stands pilot for Tennessee National Guard now, and was a safety officer at our facility in Jackson. And he set me down when I got in that unit and said, "Welcome, first off, and here's your in brief. You're going to be a part of this tribe here, and the culture." And Spencer Payne, so Smokey out there.
Yeah, Smokey.
He can attest to, kind of the fraternity of people in Jackson. We have nobody's perfect, right? But we have such a good group of people out there, and we take care of each other. Rule number one, right?
Yeah.
But he sat down and gave me that book and said, "You're a part of this tribe here. You contribute to it. You do what you're supposed to do, and you be a good person here, and don't ever do anything against the tribe. Don't be a negative contribution. Be a good person in this.
That's
in
a
this
good way
tribe."
to put it. Yeah.
And so, that's what we're trying to personify here. So we always take care of our people. And so, citing him, right?
Right.
And then, so Rules for Successful Unit Operations is a hybridization of what I got from Charles Lilly, who's a CFI that did training with me, a really good dude and a friend of ours. And when I sat down, and he did my ground school for CFI for helicopters, he gave me these rules. Said, when you go out there and you do stuff for the unit, remember these rules. So I added to them a little bit. Rule 1, take care of your people. That means prep your people. Don't, I've had people say, "I've got mine." I've heard it in the Army, and I've heard it here.
Yes.
In the police department, it's everyone's had it.
Yep.
But here, we take care of our people. And that means putting them in for awards. If your unit's got an award program, put them in for this. They're doing great stuff. If they arrest someone off a stolen vehicle or, a homicide suspect, recognize that. If they need time off, make it happen. If they have some family struggles, take care of them. Don't, mental health, right? Family problems and stuff like that, you got to recognize that and take care of them. And then you got to give them a voice. This unit isn't me. This unit isn't Kurt Knapp. It isn't our lieutenant. We as a group make this unit. And we have 2 retired CW5s from the 160th that fly for us as civilian pilots. Those guys are phenomenal. I look up to them. They're senior warrant officers. They are the best of the best, right? But their opinion values just as much as the TFO in the next room. And when a TFO comes up to me, Spencer Pittman, comes up to me and has an idea. He brought up the Nick Mink's program about thermography. Said, "I'd be interested in doing this." We made sure he got it. Take care of your people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Develop clear and defined goals is rule number 2. So our goals in the future, we need to know what we want to do. We need to go and figure out how we're going to get about to doing them. And we need to have a roadmap to what we're going to be doing. That doesn't mean, little thing. It means, clear and defined goals means a lot of different things. But you gotta know what the ultimate goal is. And that's providing the best services to our officers on the ground in this department for us, And our missions have blown up. We do, obviously, our ISR mission. We do SWAT airborne use of force training and backing with SWAT now, and they have plugged us in all over the place now with that. Special events are all over the place in Nashville, and we work with them to be ready for a Mandalay Bay incident or another Covenant school shooting or something. Medevac missions. We started that with SWAT, and we've opened it up to all of our special teams where if an officer gets critically injured and, travel to downtown can be upwards of an hour in rush hour.
We saw that.
You
Yeah,
look
we
at
did.
Lord, man. I mean, I love Nashville, but it's not what I knew when I was growing up here, man. It's a big town now, and and they say 2 million people in the Middle Tennessee area now. So
Amazing.
imagine trying to get to Vanderbilt Hospital during rush hour.
Right.
We showed them, with this new aircraft land, give me your wounded. Let's take them to the hospital. I can be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
From the time you call me to the time we're wheels down.
Yep.
Compare that to calling an ambulance. Can we make their survivability better? Clear and defined goals. Like, how can we improve operational readiness for the department, precision policing, and organizational excellence, as Chief Reach likes to say. Clear and defined roles. You look up on my board, everybody's up there, and everybody has a role.
Yeah.
And if they want to do something different, they can work toward that role, but they got to do what they're tasked with right now. And that means, owning him. Nat Geo.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal TFO. Spencer Pittman's we have phenomenal TFOs. If they're here full time, it's because they had their job as a part-time TFO and they shown. We sat down. It's not a popularity contest. It's a who's going to contribute to the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And so these part-time guys get that earned opportunity. And then the full-time guys come in and they take on those jobs. They become the experts at that camera. Well, guess what? You get flight training. We start giving them additional flight training to make them their ratings, to get them built up to be the next mission pilot. And then when someone retires or someone checks out, has a medical issue, just doesn't want to do this anymore, whatever the case is, things change. We don't have to scramble to find someone. We have that future looking forward. So it goes back to rule 2. But their rule 3, clear and defined roles. And they know what they're doing. They excel at it. And then they get rewarded with that mission pilot progression. And then they're going to be a better mission pilot because they know what that left seater needs.
Very important.
Absolutely.
Thanks to our sponsor, Anodyne Electronics Manufacturing, a leading manufacturer of trusted special mission avionics for law enforcement, aerial firefighting, and utility operators. Visit www.aem-corp.com and learn how AEM's digital communication and loudspeaker systems, avionics consoles, radios, and specialty audio products can support your most demanding missions.
So rule 4, and I got this from Brian Smith, right? Leave your ego at the door.
Yep.
That's been hard for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And it's hard for me some days.
Yeah.
You have pride.
It's hard for everybody.
It's hard for everybody. We're human. And we have pride in what our thoughts are and what we think is the best way to go. You come in here and you go, we're going to do this, and this. And someone else comes in and goes, no, I don't like that. We need to do it. So, we have to be able to break bread together. And we have to be able to figure out that difference. Pilots, that's hard,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're a bunch of prima donnas,
Some
man.
big egos. Yeah.
And Henry Particelli, he's like, man, yeah, he's such a good dude, but he's like, I've never seen so many big egos in one building. But
we
we
need
do
bigger offices.
But I want to get that, like Brian Smith said, put that on the door,
Yeah.
and just live by it because, I've had to look at that. That's why it's in front of my desk. Make sure that when you leave your ego at the door, you're looking out for the better of everybody. Building a selection process for the TFOs, like people want this or that. No, they want it, their portion of it included, and that's important for them because they want ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So if you tell them no, your ego is out talking what's important. Another book I'll recommend, cite my sources, Tribal Leadership by David Logan, John King, and Haley Fisher, right? Leveraging natural groups to build a thriving organization. And there was a guy on the TED Talk that actually talked about this book, and it's phenomenal. It talked about a guy that came in and had a failing hospital that was about to go bankrupt, and how they changed it around just by taking people, the input of the personnel that worked there, and letting them feel like they had say and a place to be. And it's interesting. It talks about different steps. Like they said there's 5 different phases of what an organization can be. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But
No, I think it's important stuff to talk about
Yeah.
because a lot of this type of reading is what benefits our industry as a whole.
Absolutely.
You know, and you talk about leadership and how important it is. It doesn't happen by accident.
No.
It happens because of effort you've put into reading stuff like
yeah,
that.
no one has the answers. You have to
Right.
find them.
Right.
You know, he talks about like level 1. If you're in a level 1 unit, you're in a prison. You know, my life sucks. I hate where I'm at. My life sucks.
Police officers are really good at being level 1.
Most places are level 2. It's toxic, right? You know, if they're having problems, it's level 2 issue. It's toxic, and this is where they say this place sucks, and that's where you see the morale patches. You know, like welcome to Bravo Company. The morale stops here, you know, or you know, they got the coffee cup talking about how everyone else's opinion is stupid, or what kind of stupid crap are you going to say today? You know,
Yeah.
You have some negativity always present. And when I got here, we were level 2. I had that retired Army warrant officer that was sitting here that was every time we saw him, he's like, "Welcome to the happiest place on earth." That's a lie.
Yeah.
And he'd walk into his office. I'm like, "Oh, that's here." And my lieutenant at the time said, "You still work here?"
Yeah.
Every time I saw him, which was not that often. We had to go and build up. Level 3, you're going to go through a point where people fight. It's incel fighting, right? Jack Donovan talks about war A, where people are fighting against each other because they're trying to make it better, but they don't know how. And we went through that, you know. We were at level 2 pushing to 3, and everyone had good ideas, but the ego wouldn't let people listen to one another. And we figured that out, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I got a couple of guys here that we fought. Let's be honest, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, we love each other. We're part of that tribe, so we got past it and we figured out everyone has the best intent in place. So let's just figure out how to get past I'm better than you, right? And I had to go past that too. So that's level 3. Level 4 gets to past the I'm great, no one else is, to we're great. Level 4 is where you want to be because you have room to improve, but you've improved a long way, a ton of, and people are going to stay because you're at a level 4, not culture. That's a Super Bowl team that's getting ready to go to the Super Bowl. That's a team that's got it figured out. They're just still honing it up, right? They're making the good changes, and they're fighting for that ultimate goal that they have, clear and defined goals. And then level 5 is you just won the Super Bowl. It's just a paraphrase, you know. Level 5 is you've reached, as the book says, reached nirvana. And there's nowhere else for you to go because you've figured it out. Eagle's going to tell you you're at level 5. You need to figure out how to stay at level 4. And if you hit level 5, be humble and get back to level 4 and keep moving and figure it out. So
Wow.
it's a great book.
That is really good.
Yeah.
That's going to go in the Hangar Z reading list.
Yeah,
And
it's phenomenal. I handed this to another lieutenant that came in that had a bunch of good ideas and was like, "Man, this is it." You know, talk about one of the hardest things I had to do was he came in, had a bunch of good ideas, and wanted the best for the unit, but he brought the wrong mindset. And Brian Smith talks about hire slow, fire fast. And he came in and started making a bunch of changes and had that ego and that issue. And one of the hardest things we had to do was sit down and the command staff and say, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And here's why. You don't want to be that stigma, right? But for the survivability of our unit, we had to go and say something. And for the benefit, because he was looking at firing a bunch of people here just to get some people he wanted over, because that's not the right answer. So, you know, you got to live it. Go back to the 4 tactical virtues, right?
Yeah.
Strength, courage, skill, and honor. You got to have that courage to stand up and say what's best for your unit, and the honor to do the right thing, and then the strength to know what you're doing and the skill to back it up.
Wow.
But back to our list here.
Well, real quick before we go back,
Yeah.
it's really easy to sit down and philosophize. And is that a word? Philosophize?
It is now.
It's a Hangar Z word.
It's strategery.
I just made it up.
Strategery.
I've used it before. I don't know if it's right.
Yeah, me too.
It's easy to sit here and talk about some of these philosophies and how important they are, but it's a lot harder to put that into practice. And
Oh,
just
yeah.
It is.
being here for
It
the
is.
last day and a half and talking not only to you but to the folks not only in air support but also in K9.
Yeah.
you can see that you guys have taken these philosophies and concepts and put them into practice just based on the attitudes and mindset that you guys have. So really cool to see that, and kudos to you to not just talk about it, but to do it. Everyone has great ideas, and not many people actually put one foot in front of the other and actually make things happen. And you guys are making things happen. So, man, that's really cool to see and hear. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, good mentorship and good people. We have, it's like back to the culture and getting people around you that want the same mission.
Yeah.
That same ultimate goal.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This conversation has gone in a way that we did not predict, and it's so fantastic. Didn't we warn you, Nate? We said, well, yeah, it's kind of an outline, but who knows where we're going to end up? Holy mackerel. This has ended up really good, but in the interest of time, we really need to hear about the unit and all these, what you have, personnel, what you're doing out there in the time we got left. Talk to us about Nashville Metro Aviation and what you have here equipment-wise and personnel-wise.
Yeah, okay. We have 2 new H-125 A-Star AS-3Bs, and we have 2 older 58s from 1971 and 1973. Those are training only now. We, just parts obsolescence, has kind of rendered them where they need to be, and that's training to offset the hours on the mission aircraft for our pilot training and progressions. We have 4 full-time TFOs, and that's a newer addition for us. We operate 12-hour shifts 7 days a week, give the department 22 hours a day coverage. That was something that our officers, our personnel here voted on. We sat down, and one of the, we were at 5/8, and they would call outs, and so the shifts are a group effort, and they gave up weekends to not have to deal with call out. They rotate a Panama shift where they work, say like Monday, Tuesday, they're off Wednesday, Thursday, they work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but then it flips and they get the reverse off. It works out good. Everyone gets every other weekend off, and they stay on nights for 2 months, and then they rotate the day shift for a month, so they can kind of plan their lives. We have a part-time TFO feeder program that we developed, based loosely off of Texas DPS and other agencies. TFO selection process. We kind of hybridized it ourselves, see what works for us and our officers. Trying to get the best fit for talent and stuff, and we keep 12 part-time TFOs. They come in twice a month at a minimum, more if they can. Staffing being what it is, we understand, but try to keep their currency and their proficiency off of that, and that supplements our pool of TFOs.
And your patrol divisions, they support that, and they support them coming in. And
as with everybody, staffing being an issue, right. They're not thrilled to let go of people, sure. But it's a collateral duty, and they understand the need of it.
They do understand,
and they understand how important it is.
Yeah.
And for the future officers, a good supervisor out in those divisions understands and recognizes if this is something that's important to my officer, I'm going to support it.
That's good to hear.
And we get backing from our command staff to push down training dates and guarantee that they're available to them. So
good.
We really don't have a big issue with it based off of how our command staff works with us to support that, which is great. Repping your unit, right? And our SWAT guys do the same thing. They're collateral duty, and then our SRT, Special Response Team, is the full-time SWAT. So they build full-time off of the collateral SWAT.
Well, that's interesting.
So it's kind of based off of that too, right? So if you want a good SRT, full-time SWAT officer, you need a pool of part-time guys.
Sure.
So we kind of modeled and talked to their commander about how does this work? How do you want it? And I've seen it on the guard side, part-time soldier, citizen soldier, but I'm there all the time. I'm 1 week in a month, my butt, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm there every other week, Thursday nights, getting MVG resets, and they don't count my hours here. M-Day soldier going out there and getting your hours and minimums. A full-time job comes up at the facility, they look at their best M-Day guy and go, man, you want to work out here with us?
Yeah.
Same thing. So you build a pool of people and you see who's the worker and you see who's the culture, the positive contribution to your tribe. And so you back them up, take care of your people.
Yeah.
And get their training days supported. And understand that your part-time TFO is not going to be as good as your full-time TFO. They're not here every day touching this stuff.
Yep.
So you have to give them some grace, get them in there and make them, the opportunities to be good, but understand when that fading and regression kicks in and support it to improve.
Yep.
That's important because people do get frustrated when a part-time TFO comes in and they're a little bit of a hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to go, look, man, it's part of it.
Yeah.
You're not going to remember every little caution.
No, they're not.
And we can all remember when we were in that spot, right? Learning and making mistakes, and it's hard. That's the hardest part, is accepting the failures, because there's a lot of them.
There is. And
there are.
And even when you're here every day, all day doing it, there's the failures and mistakes.
There should be failures, because you got to grow.
Yeah.
And if you're not failing, you're not going to learn, because you think you got it, and then your ego kicks in.
Yep.
So, we always continue learning. Like, we make them debrief, and we also make the TFOs come in and document the video footage, right? Put it in storage and stuff. But we make them now, as part of their debrief, review the critical points of the video and self-critique. What'd you do good? What'd you do wrong? What can you learn from that?
What a great training tool.
Yeah, absolutely. That camera's a great training tool. Clay Lacey told me that when we went out there. He's like, use that camera.
Mm-hmm.
It is the best training tool you can get.
Yeah.
So
for that moment in time, for that TFO, that's a great tool. But also for the TFOs down the road, this specific incident can be reviewed by person after person after person.
Yeah.
And you can
For
learn
years
those
to come.
learn those same lessons. It's awesome.
Even our training academy pulls our videos now and uses them in service to show, and we try our best not to be the snitch. That's a bad word, but be the recording evidence of, you did that wrong in policy. We're not out there to crucify officers on the ground. We're
a learning
to support
tool.
them, but it's a learning tool. And if you happen to jump out there in the middle of the road and throw spike strips against policy, and risk getting hit, again, we're not going to zoom in and get your officer and badge number or anything like that. But but the training academy comes through and they ask, and they find videos that have bad policy practices, their officer safety concerns, and they just put them up there on the wall and go, that right there, not asking names, but don't ever do that again.
Yeah. And how many officers are killed every year throwing spike strips?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great example that you just kind of pulled out of the air there, but it's having video of it and showing a young officer and saying, that could be you next week in the heat of battle. You get the adrenaline's flowing and you're not thinking about what the policy and procedure is. You just want to throw that spike strip. You want to stop that car, but you can get killed doing it, and you can get in trouble doing it. And here's the video to prove that it happens on our department.
Back to tactical virtues, one of our officers, Officer Tom Spence, and back to your question, we have 4 full-time pilots that are officers, 2 civilian pilots, like I mentioned before. And so 4 sworn, 2 civilian, that's 6 pilots, and then 3 sergeants. One's a TFO sergeant, and then 2 of us are pilots in addition to. I used to be an officer when I came over here, and they promoted me, which is a break in precedent, which I like, a whole different conversation about pilot pay and all that stuff. But, I was fortunate, thankfully, the chief of police saw fit to keep me here and promote me and stay. So 3 sergeants, 6 pilots, 4 full-time TFOs, a lieutenant, and 12 part-time TFOs.
That's cool. That's a great staff.
Yeah.
I'm going to circle back just for a second, because you brought up something that I hadn't even considered. I don't know why, but you highlighted the fact that your training staff at the academy utilizes your videos for the benefit of the trainees. I've never considered that as a tool for trainees. Even in FTO training, right, after they've graduated from the academy, what a great tool to highlight good tactics, bad tactics, and everything in between.
Thanks to our sponsor, Summit Aviation. a full-service provider for business, government, parapublic, and military aviation, specializing in maintenance, modifications, avionics, interiors, and paint. Discover more at summit-aviation.com.
I started to say Officer Spence, phenomenal guy. He's a big on tactics. And he said it right as, if we're up there and we see things that are going wrong on the ground, officers not using backstop properly, flagging another officer if they had a critical incident and they're shooting at other officers and we don't say something, if their tactical edge is lacking and we don't say something, the next time it happens, we're complicit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
we don't want to be the armchair quarterback, but if we can get a hold of those officers, get a phone call to them and go, look, man, here's what we saw. We're worried. We want you to be safe.
Yep.
We're in the fight too.
Yeah.
And that's part of establishing that reputation that that you do care about them, and you're not being the Monday morning quarterback.
Yep.
You're like, hey, I really care about you. And that's why we're there. It's for your safety. And I just saw this, and man, you gotta stay in the game here. Stay focused. I've done that, but don't try to fight through it. Don't let that happen again. You're gonna get yourself hurt. You do that enough times, people figure it out. Hey, they really do care about us up there at Air Support.
Yeah,
we're there. Pretty soon they take those criticisms and constructive criticism really well, and it benefits everybody.
Yeah, we're there to support the ground officers.
Yeah,
that's our number one goal. We are here because they are.
Yeah,
yeah.
So.
Going back to the early part of the conversation, you talk about the two divisions or two units that are at every critical incident in the city. I'd say 99% of the time is canines and air support. Mm-hmm. If you're going to see bad tactics or good tactics, it's going to probably be seen by one of these two units. So to praise and then also identify some of the learning lessons to talk about, we're going to see those. So I think it's really important because, like you said, you become complicit in that situation where you don't do something, and you'd hate to be in a position where somebody gets hurt or killed because of your lack of initiative to go and teach some lessons.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up on a lot of levels. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it just, again, highlights the value of aviation programs. The experience we bring, the insight that we bring, just love all of it.
Yep.
There's so much more to talk about,
Let me finish up my list real quick.
Yeah.
So, we left it, leave your ego at the door. So real quick down the list. Always take care of your people. Develop clear and defined goals. Establish clear and defined roles. Leave your ego at the door. Communicate effectively. Don't leave vague information out there. Develop a culture of trust. And that means, your officers need to trust coming to you. And that could be, hey, man, I messed this up. They don't want to be reprimanded. We talk about a culture of trust in aviation and that just culture process, and we got to have that here. And that means that they can come and self-report something, and you're not going to over high side on it as a chief pilot. Or as, if someone's coming to you recognizing a problem, then your training is working. If you told them not to do something and they did it and they go, oh, I did that, and, then, okay, cool. Well, you're learning, aren't you?
Yeah, right.
But also, you need to trust them. We have sworn officers, and I hate that our pilots are officers. We're trying to fix that, back to that pay thing. But, you trust an officer to take a $6 million helicopter and another officer's life and fly it above a population of almost 2 million people. I trust them. And you need to trust them that they're going to do the right thing. You vetted your people. Mm-hmm. So it goes both ways.
Right.
And then keep a simple, effective process. If you get convoluted with a bunch of sidebar stuff and, make your process of getting attainable goals and clear and defined roles, if you have your process so convoluted that no one knows how to do it, then your credibility goes away. And then the last one is always take care of your people.
Yeah, I love that.
The bookend.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to have to get that list for our listeners and your reading recommendations.
If only we had a photographer with us that could snap a nice snappy of that list right there. I think we will. I think we have one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. And once again, just so we're clear, that's you gave credit to a lot of people and some books and stuff, but that final 8 there, that's yours?
So Charles Lilly, the CFI that I did my training with for helicopter CFI, gave me the beginning of that list. I think it was 5, and I adapted it to 8. Yeah. So
that list
this rendition is mine.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at, because we all do that with everything we do, the classes we teach, everything. But you were drawing from different sources and people and books, but that's your list, Nate, and that is really good, really good. It is simple, just like number 7. It's simple. You look at it and you go, this should be common sense. But we all know, we've all worked. You've worked in police work, in the military. We've been in law enforcement for a long time. That many leaders and units do not follow even half of those.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what's written down if you don't know it.
And that's, you mentioned that earlier about applying it. That's a whole different game, and how we have seen by being here that you apply it, and that's great.
Yeah.
I love the list. I love that you're applying it, and that you're getting benefits, no doubt.
Well, debriefs, right? We talked about debriefs, and we debrief after we do a lot of stuff here, and we get people's buy-in, and then customers too. We went around at the end of the year and talked to SWAT. I'll talk to our special teams that we support, violent crimes detectives, our robbery detectives, our Titans team, our urban search and rescue team. We do the hoist mission stuff too. Talk to all of them and got an end of year debrief. All of your interactions with aviation and all the missions we supported or training that we supported. How did it go? What did you like? What can we do better next year? And everyone that attended that, they came here and they were happy to come and talk to us.
Wow.
And sit down, and we're happy that we were wanting to talk.
Yeah.
A huge change in culture from
how many units do that?
Yeah.
Not many. That is really good.
Well, your customers. You gotta.
Heck yeah.
I mean, customer isn't always right, but they got something to say, and you better listen.
Yeah, if you don't listen, you become non-support.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You slip
Air
back
non-support.
Yep.
Yeah. Air none. So.
Air none.
Well, man, this has been an absolute pleasure. Not only having this podcast, but visiting your facility, visiting your folks. You've done an excellent job of creating a culture here that is infectious, and I hope to come back here with Brent at some point and cover your new hangar. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about the prospect of that. Maybe you can just touch on it briefly.
Oh, yeah. So we've been approved. Well, we've asked for and we've been approved to build a new hangar at John Toon Airport, get out of the footprint of the police academy. The safety issues. I mean, it's great hidden asset back here, but man, every day you walk out here, the in-service is out here doing EVOC training, throwing spike strips for training. The trainees are out here running every morning. You back up onto the track where they're running. So, we've tried to deconflict that, the best we can, but we've outgrown this.
Yeah.
The helicopters barely fit in the hangar. We're going to ding a blade someday if we don't watch it.
By the way, I think from what I saw, in this very unique, unusual situation that you're describing, the risk management of it is excellent. I mean,
we're doing our best.
You obviously have some very set procedures. You educate the people that are here around you. There's signage. There's all these things. I think you mitigate a lot of it really well for what you got. No doubt about it. Being in an airport is going to be a heck of a lot safer and more easy to manage.
Yep.
But you should be very proud of what your people are doing. And not just air unit, the K-9 people, the trainees, the recruits, because it takes all of them to cooperate with this to be safe. But it's an unusual situation, no doubt. You can relate that from your time, but you're making the best of it.
Well, we've been dealing with it here for 40 years. So,
well, the airport's going to be a very important step for safety for your unit.
It is.
Yeah,
and we're thrilled, excited for it. Hopefully they start breaking ground on that. It's gone through council, and as long as nothing changes, we got the blueprints set up, and we'll be building a nice shiny new hangar, bigger hangar to support our maintenance guys and everything.
So yeah, Vertical Valor will be back to visit you guys and highlight that hangar when it's done. I'm excited for that.
Glad to have y'all anytime.
Yeah, Jack, any closing thoughts before we head out?
Wow. I hope everybody enjoyed the second annual leadership summit on Hangar Z. This went down a good path in a really good way. I learned a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
The books that Nate's talking about are absolutely must reads now. I'll just end by thanks for the hospitality, Nate. Thanks for working with us with the photo flight, with the in-flight podcast, with you giving us your time today. You're definitely a level 4, and I love the culture and the attitude. I think that's, if I had to pick, if John made me pick one thing, you know, I'd say culture, attitude is similar of how this unit is striving forward. It's that. The rest of it'll come. You know, that equipment, that'll come, you know. But if you don't have the right culture and attitude, then it's not going to be fun to work there. You're not going to produce anything, and you're not going to get that equipment when you ask for it because you're not producing. You're doing all the right things. And I'm very impressed, Nate. And so thanks again. I learned a lot, and I can't wait to see where you're going. I can't wait to see where you're going. So I'll just leave it at that for me. And
Yeah.
I'm just thrilled to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jack.
Again, until the next leadership summit.
Which you will be a guest on.
No, this is absolutely
that's
gold.
what we're looking for, Nate.
People need to be inspired by those types of philosophies, and that was inspiring for me to hear you talk about that. So
Good word.
Thank you.
2
inspiring.
hours of
Yeah.
rambling about some.
No, it wasn't rambling. It was great.
No, Nate. This was really good.
Yeah.
This is what we look for.
Any closing thoughts before we head out?
Thank y'all so much for putting us on your list again. You know, we're humbled that we could make this because we've looked up to the podcast. You know, I listened to y'all before. I know Pittman is a big fan.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening.
And
thanks.
again, oral history. You know, it's not history right now, but it's current events. But someday, a unit's going to be looking for stuff and coming to y'all and finding the keys to the castle. You know, it's really, having the ability to listen in and like, we don't need to reinvent a wheel.
No.
We just need to see how other people that have built a really good wheel have done it.
Yep.
And just remodel ourselves.
I guarantee there's someone in your position or that was in your previous position listening when as this goes out or later, that's going to identify with all these things you've talked about, and you're going to be getting phone calls, which I apologize for in advance.
Well,
but it's true. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We're here to support each other, and that's what I love about this industry. So,
it's a big brotherhood,
Yeah.
a sisterhood.
It is.
We're a very small family. Aviation's a very small family, and it's crazy. Like, Spencer Payne was in my unit, and y'all know him, and we've done stuff with him, and Matt Harris flew for the Army, and before they had helicopters, he was riding Eagles around, and
Ouch, Matt.
hot air balloons in the Civil War, and
I still had confidence in him.
and he, but it's the people you run into and how small a community is, and people lift each other up here.
absolutely. Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
So, all right, John. See you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Hangar Z podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors. Cheers.
Thanks to our sponsor, Summit Aviation, a full-service provider for business, government, parapublic, and military aviation, specializing in maintenance, modifications, avionics, interiors, and paint. Discover more at summit-aviation.com. Thanks to our sponsor, Anodyne Electronics Manufacturing, a leading manufacturer of trusted special mission avionics for law enforcement, aerial firefighting, and utility operators. Visit www.aem-corp.com and learn how AEM's digital communication and loudspeaker systems, avionics consoles, radios, and specialty audio products can support your most demanding missions. Thank you to our sponsor, Robinson Helicopter Company, the choice for unrivaled safety and reliability, so you can accomplish any mission with confidence. For more than half a century, Robinson has been at the forefront of the helicopter industry. From the R-22 to the R-66 turbine, Robinson makes helicopters accessible so more people can accomplish more missions. Climb higher. For additional information, visit www.robinsonheli.com.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Hangar Z podcast and for supporting the sponsors who make these conversations possible. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Sergeant Nate Dungum of the Nashville Metro Police Department Aviation Unit. To dive even deeper into the topics we discussed, be sure to check out the articles and videos by Brent Bundy that further examine Nashville Metro and the Hangar Z Vertical Valor Blades of Valor Tour. You can find them over at verticalmag.com. Cheers.
Time to close up the hangar. Thanks for joining us on the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts.